was an ancient airfield in Gambia, quite by chance. There's an airfield in Gambia, an ancient airfield. Ancient airfield. Anyway, by chance, happenstance. This is perplexing, because this destroys the notion that there was a lack of education in the distant past that we were not privy to. We're not invited to the libraries, the private libraries, etc. So let's just watch what this guy says, since it's all in a different language from this guy's channel here. Airfield located in a small, very poor African country, Gambia, occupies a special place. The fact is, Gambia itself is now, it sells peanuts for exports. Clear that such a load, there is no need for high-speed aircraft, hovercraft, or anything else, and suddenly this country, whose entire road network is only 3,000 kilometers long, less than 1,000 of which are paved with asphalted country, where the first traffic light only appeared in 1998. The international class airport. The question is, where with all the money? It turns out the Gambian authorities had nothing to do with this airfield, much less its construction. Found by chance on the step. Giant slabs of stone, carefully polished and tightly fitted together. When they were found, all the authorities had to do was caulk the seams and lay new asphalt and mark the roads with a stick. Back it up. That was just there from Blackwood basalt. It said it was basalt platforms, and not too far in Africa if you really want to make a scale to the Egypt. You know, these all there, same deal, flat, perfect. To flatten it all out, level it out, put it on it's a hard surface, very durable. It's still to this day, from 1,000 years ago, perhaps, from the 10th century, 900 AD. So theoretically, if Africa had thousands of such missiles, and these missiles, if you look at a what is it, a V1 or a V2 from World War II, it's very similar to that, and that's 100 years ago, almost. In our timeline, if you want to call it that, this last industrial paradigm. So here we go, theoretically, if Africa had it. If that country in Africa could bomb the entire northern hemisphere, after all, look at the sinkholes in the USA and Siberia.
Возрастом 5000 лет датируются чудские
country bomb the entire northern hemisphere as if it were a single state. By the way, if that migration of migrants to the United States in the 19th century was actually the population of a partially lost continent, many people died in America, but some of these remained and needed to be resettled. The fact that there was a war with white Africa was already on video on the channel. Just remember the Boer Wars, the Transvaal, the Rhodesia in Africa. Thanks. Let's return to the archive one of the most incomprehensible strange things in 1830 and 1831. A cholera epidemic began in Russia. Regarding epidemics, radiation sickness is very similar to cholera and plague. The incomprehensible mass death from radiation sickness could have been called cholera or plague. Deterioration of sanitary conditions in cities since the water supply and sewage did not work from the war. All the corpses from the weapons cannot be ruled out. Many documents made the area trust the highest officials in the government. So yeah, isn't that more plausible than what we are led to believe? They didn't have words for this back in the day. People were taken by surprise. Now we're aware of the nuclear poisoning. Concentrated nuclear materials. Something happened. And it's looking more and more like all of this happens not as far back as what we think. And then, this is interesting. Nick Svitali. This is going too fast. In the 1830s, due to the fall of a similar fighter governors are appointed. Let me see this. Huh. Well, they don't say much about it, but apparently a whole bunch of crap happened and a new government was appointed at the same time. As well, worth noting, these tidbits of information gained from the history of this time. It's hard to get a independent scope of what the actual state of things are. They're dealing with a population that's about uneducated and recovering from something already for the last 100 years. The industry's only in a few hands with the power to make this kind of a defense against this. Let's pause on this because this thing looks like a V2 from World War II. Let's see what my stream is doing here since I'm having a hard time now. Just watch what this guy says. Yeah, because I haven't really used this task. Just watch what this guy says. That's bad. Yeah, because I haven't really used this task. That's bad. That's bad. Alright. Well, as long as it stays connected, because I haven't really used this task to figure out how to get it so it's not breaking out. That's bad. Alright. Well, as long as it stays connected, because I haven't really used this task to figure out how to get it so it's not breaking out. That's bad. Okay, I think I did get it. Alright. Well, as long as it stays connected, because I haven't really used it. Alright. I'll play this. And turn something off here. Alright.
самой меди делали клинки, которые...
That's not working out very well. On my channel, see what it looks like. I turned everything down because it seemed like it was, maybe the volume was too high. Yeah, my internet connection really frustrated. Visually on this. Yeah, this is important here. There's gaps in the history. Yeah, this is beautiful. On your stream, and I can see it's a bit screwed. There's gaps in the history. It's all blurry too, isn't it? It's all blurry. Why is it blurry too? It's because I'm using the free version. Yeah, this is important. This is beautiful. On your stream, and I can see it's a bit screwed. There's gaps in the history. Yeah, it's all blurry too, isn't it? It's all blurry. Why is it blurry too? It's because I'm using the free version. Yeah, this is important. in the history. Yeah. Not sure what to do but to make it not picking up. Took something here. This has its own version that's not a complete version. It's got to do with a nuclear war or destruction of nuclear catastrophes from wars. It looks like a mutual destruction scenario that happened in the Mahabharata as well, and yeah, the evidence is there. But the ones between that, because they don't call it a nuclear war back then. Okay. Yes. This is the conclusion. This is the conclusion of the research. Not the complete totality of conclusion, but the backbone of the research ends with the analysis of things that result in this hypothesis. It's more like a telling of history from the evidence found. Maybe it's a little embellished here, but I mean, if you're gonna say they're advanced at all, and if they're more advanced than us, then yeah, I guess I'd be realistic and look at the damage and how much land there was, yeah, exactly. You come to the same conclusion if you sit down and look at all this data and independently look at the terrain and what the shape of these and how much of it is. We don't have any examples of this to compare in our lifetime. And if you recall the people that were existing when this stuff happened, it was more of a, I don't know, there's no record. How can this just happen and there's a few drawings and a few letters by a couple hands here and there. I mean, not much at all. They really wiped everything out to the degree where, So I could say when this happened, there was still structures left that are still standing today. If it's 600 years ago and those structures match the exact same architecture of structures that are dated to the 10th century, okay? Right. Alright, get to the meat and potatoes here. Once again, this is how can anyone ignore this and just talk around it and just call it something that is, like, just call it meteor showers, etc. Who can disprove it? Who can prove it? There's a way to prove it. Whose turn is it now? Are you getting set up? Yes. It gets into the bricks and all that, and what's gonna be left after something like that happens? Yes. Here we go. This is right when the golden age, I would think, would be the time. The 10th century would be the end of it. That would be just in the aftermath of all this stuff. Nothing else makes sense. to these places to the side of the moon in the side. So that's same time, same empire almost, eh? It is the same empire. Africa would be the, think about Africa. The Nile. And what does that mean? The Pharaoh. Good. 1700. Look at this. Sorcery. Yes. And he's got the J in the name there, and the years. Let's see. J 400, J 500, J 800. That's all part of this. The coding of the past. They moved everybody around because there wasn't enough people to fill everywhere. To move people. They couldn't put them all in Moscow. And then what happened up here? That's the important thing that I think we can learn about all the why there's people were there. We're not told people were there. We're told they all came from Africa. I'll just freeze it on there. On this guy's channel here. This is the one, and we're watching it. We're watching it and translated. But I can't watch it live because it'll really break up my feed. It's probably breaking up like mad right now. So I'm not playing any audio really. I'll move my cursor out of the way and let it play. If anybody cares to watch it, go to Buddy's channel and sub. He's got tons of shit to watch there. And I was saying the other day about this right here. That seems to be the area where the Pine Gap is. Not that those are exact representations of where the launching was taken, but if it is, it's easily one of these kind of sites. An old ancient one. Rhodesia. almost getting a good picture of what history looked like. Of it almost right now. That's getting to that same time. Because they did have the treaties back in the nuclear war times of our generations. Mutual assured destruction. And that seems to be what is the thing that repeats itself through history. This is kind of the search that is showing is to be very, very likely. It's just getting around the mental blockade of programming and being taught to not look at this stuff, yes, so it can be done again. And every time it comes back, there's more confusion. I mean, what's the incentive here? It's obvious, isn't it? The same people that are lobbying for pollutions, control on our carbon and etc. are funding all of this environmental destruction at the same time. And wars. That's clear. Look at all this stuff. Phosphorus and everything in South America. And then they say right here that they found the signature of the nuclear isotope in America of material that came from, let's see, what did he say here? Right here. Presence of numerous traces of uranium from the Congo and Namibia and Siberia. The version with sloppiness of Americas does not fit that narrative of why Australian stuff could get to Siberia. Let skeptics try to explain this. Yes, let them try to explain this. Using their own quotation mark science that they use to tell us why things are the way they are. Well, use your same science to tell us why that's the way it is. And without lying, and there's that giant, huge 5 billion, could support 5 billion people with this agricultural layout here. What's it called? Irrigation system. Look at this thing. 67 million acres of farmland here. It's unreal. And that was from the population that was wiped out. It's in Africa, in fact. So there's obvious people don't know this exists and have kept it from replenishing. It's amazing. This is very amazing. Turned out to be abandoned. I think I nailed it, yeah. Police department. And, he's talking about this fireball came in from the trajectory. This was in the 1800s. He's talking about, I believe. He also mentions stuff from the 10th century quite a bit, but let's just take this, at his, this guy, his, explanation. I can't really say it any clearer than this, because it's the same, terrain we all have to work with, and the same landmarks, and the same, structures that are left behind that can be perhaps dated by aging to look at to compare to stuff that we can have witnessed the aging of. So how old is something get? How old does it look? You gotta have a good eye for that. Alright, so he's talking about the fleets at the time. We don't picture them as being this technological, but actually, how many times have the militaries kept their secrets for, they're like 100 years ahead of everybody else with technology. So say if they were 100 years ahead back in the 1800s, then they had what they had in the 1940s and 1830s, and we just weren't, it wasn't published and patented, etc. It was like secret weapons. It's very easy to see this is possible. Very easy. Very, very easy once you look at it like that. Yeah. And then we've been led to believe that after nuclear, these people could have been the same pictures as you see in, I'll bring one up. I'll bring them up right now. If I can here. Where is it? Oh, was it earlier? Oh shit. No, I'll just play. But if you've seen the drawings, once this is done playing, I'll be able to bring it up. But while it's playing, it's best not to disturb my data flow at the moment. Yeah. Carpet nuclear bombardment. Control centers in Siberia. Right, yeah. Wiped out the whole world, man. This war. And we've been lost ever since, it seems. As a layman population, I guess, relying on the powers that do this shit, for lack of a better term. Yeah, this might help. I'm a smaller player. I don't know if the letters are distorted or blurry now or not. It's like, I think I'm gonna try a different streaming he's going into how this could be submarines and stuff going on, and there was problems communication, so they launched instead of art imitates life. So yeah. So you're talking about the Sri Lanka, those large megalithic structures they have there. They look like big domes with adornments on them, like this thing here. And he's explaining that this is actually top secret stuff that's hidden underneath bricks. Vimanas. Nobody's allowed in there. It's fenced in. So it's just another example of the UN and those places where we all agreed as a bunch of United Nations to keep ourselves out of these things that spoil the story. And I'm saying it's hard to hide this stuff now because we have, we have these new toys we can check things out with. Drones and LiDAR and there's other stuff you can get your hands on. X-ray these things. Sonar. This thing here, this is one. This kind of is a head scratcher, and it's almost the thing that seals the deal here. That's out here. Basalt slabs in the city of Undam, Gambia. Why the war was hidden. The mutual destruction of two powerful empires allowed England and other Western European countries much less affected by the war to take advantage of it all. It says right here, conquered the peoples, divided into separate countries, and came up with languages and the history, religion, languages. And you can tell with those orphan trains and that story that happened at around the same time when they were picking up the pieces from all the destruction. And then they went in there and did more destruction to get everybody in line. Put them in those insane asylums and retrain the society, create the society they wanted, that they could control to do the industrialization and the slavery and etc. You know, because all those billions that were living off that, those plantations, those fields in Africa, it even looks like, look at how big those fields are. Maybe those were the slaves of Egypt, because Egypt is in Africa, and that is along the same, you know, kind of, when you look at it like that, all their kind of biblical stories hit different, but set them in a higher technology. And then look at these, like Peter the Great. All of this is around those times. So, go back to where the strip is here. Right here. This has to do with the trajectory of these, he calls them catapulted, but as well as possibly drones like the I think it was the V2 guided missile. It looks exactly like a American missile. So they have to rebuild after. And there's refineries, metal refineries and all that stuff left over. They have to restart and then build the new stuff from the old stuff. Okay, well, I'll switch to a different screen here. Switch to this one. That's the rocket. 3,000 miles of roads in this whole country, and only 1,000 have paving. And this airport is tantamount to a global transport hub. That's totally overkill for a place like this. Like, they can't afford it. And he's questioning, how did they build it? Who came up with the money? Well, the thing is, it was already there. It's made out of basalt. It's totally a whole runway. That's what he's saying right here. It was found by chance on the step. These turned out to be giant slabs of stone, carefully polished and tightly fitted together. And when they were found, all the authorities had to do was caulk the seams between these slabs, lay new asphalt and mark the roads, and the airport was ready. I mean, it's just a airfield right there. It was just sitting there.
Возрастом 5000 лет датируются чудские.
He's explaining how the immigration and how they repopulated the, very simply explained. This whole thing is very simply explained when you look at all this, data here, and, nuclear isotopes of the radiation of the, soil samples found in these, potholes, so to speak, things. And the cholera epidemic they call the Black Death, and at that time is key into timing when the nuclear thing happened. This would be the fallout damage and the sickness. The strength of the explosions that happened sent the fallout around the whole world, of course. And then once everything's rotting, you're obviously going to have the sanitary effects, septic effects, etc., and all the sickness. But nobody compared these so-called meteorites. When you see them in the sky for 3 or 4 days with that big plume outside, like right here, like, look at all the rockets they send, like from NASA or whatever, you know, how they just do the same thing. Now if that was a payload of explosives or something up there getting sent out, would look the same.
Возрастом 5000 лет датируются чудские.
He's explaining how the whole entire northern hemisphere is bombed. Seems pretty cut and dried, actually. It's just hard to put into perspective who somebody who had the control of the machines. this is wild too because their general or governor was changed at the same time. And there's no names, they didn't even know who they're writing their letters to. It's like weird. Really weird. Kind of shows how in disarray everybody was taken by surprise by this. Wasn't something they expected. It's just like when those, that guy in, the Manhoopy King was telling the, tribe, because he gained their confidence and they ended up worshipping him because he predicted the solar eclipse. And I ruined him when he could say that, because he had the knowledge that it's a pattern that was existed, and these guys are all saying, yeah, okay, well, there's a comet that comes around every 2,000 years, blah, 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 but meanwhile, we have our, missiles and shit set up, and, we'll just use the cover of a natural disaster. Why let a disaster go to waste? It's no different. They lied to us about everything else in history. Now they tell the truth about this all of a sudden. No. It's the same old pattern. I think the reason why this is important to look at, and it'd be good if there was the story of what the world was going through when we were, Mad Magazine. When Mad Magazine came out, Mad was about mutually assured destruction. And we were in the 50s or 60s, and there was the Bay of Pigs, and, that was real. This shit could happen, and we're almost forgetting. It's like that cycle where they make wait till everybody forgets the past, and then they wham. So, they're not talking about Mad today, are they? No, everybody's saber rattling and wants to. Who knows? I don't know. It's all bullshit to me. Because I think they get more bang for their buck by the psychological warfare than they do by the actual. So when 1984 is said about there'll be rumors of wars in Eurasia and all of that, well, this is all the past repeating itself over again. If you look at this whole documentary I'm showcasing here on my little live stream. Hell yeah. It's the same old thing over again. Something missing. There's really nothing else to expand on with this guy. I mean, why did the government call it a fireball? We'll never know. Till next time.